Welcome to Short Comic Introduction. Today we have a first look at the comic called Invisible Girl Meets the Big Damn Hero by the artist Tatterberry. First look because this comic the first page of the comic was published in January 2017. So it's running only for 4 months, and it's still at the beginning. So where will it go? How will the story unfold? We have no idea at the moment. The only one is the artist. The story follows or centers around a girl called Alice who one day discovers she is something like getting invisible because people she's talking with seem to forget her directly after she talked with them, and so she started to live a little bit excluded life, a little bit alone, even if she can interact with the people. And one day someone seems to see her, and that's how this story is beginning. And to be fair, this story it's interesting that the story got my attention because of two things. First, just from this description alone, it's more a kind of slice of life kind of story at a first glance. Like I said, I can't tell where this story is going, and also the art. Don't get me wrong, the art isn't bad, and I have to admit I really like the art. Normally the art style isn't normally something I'm not so big fan from. I'm more from let's say harder corners and something, and here we have an art style with let's say more softer colors and something, and even the art is totally black and white, but more let's say round in this case, and that's something I'm normally not a fan of, but it works in this case. And the reason I wanted to look at it was, believe it or not, the cover from the first issue, and that got me interesting. And even after reading the about what the story is, I had to say, I wanted to read it, at least the first pages, and see where this is going, because the whole idea of the story at first is this is a world where superheroes and superpowers existed, and we are concentrating on not on them directly, because but more on some side characters, and that's something I'm a small fan of, because even in these big storylines or big superhero storylines, I'm really a fan if more of the side characters are more in focus, or more some, let's say, normal people around them, and that's why I started reading this. And like I said, at first glance, I wasn't sure about the art style, but what got me was the artist has a great talent to let his character speak without them speaking. You always see how they feel. You always see in which way they are thinking, in which way it's going. So that's something I really appreciate. And the second part, also, the characters are, let's say it this way, they are very believable in this storyline, and or in this world. I never had the feeling that these the way the characters interact was faulty. They were like people just talking somewhere outside, or how they would react in my eyes. And that's why I kept reading this story, and it's in my eyes it's getting very interesting, and I want to know where it will go. And That's why I'm sticking to it. And like I said, this whole story, even with all this what's going on behind, and we don't know at the moment how big this whole scenario is in this case, but it feels realistic to say the least. Even our main character Alice, who is believable as this person who worked the whole time, or the last years of her life, was secluded in some way or another, and she was mostly alone. And to be honest, this is also something that felt realistic, because if you know people who secluded themselves a little bit, it seemed a little bit like something you can in some way comprehend. Like I said, the characters are very believable in this case. So yeah, definitely. This is a story or a comic I would recommend for people who are interested in how characters will evolve, and how a story around them will evolve. And for the moment, I would recommend it. I really would recommend to take a first glance at it, and let's see where it's going. Yeah, at the moment it's updating every Tuesday, and it's I will leave a link down below in the description, so definitely take a look and check it out. And I will take another look in maybe 6-7 months, when we can see where maybe the story will go. Will it keep up? Will it go in another direction? Let's see and find out. So thanks for watching, and have fun.